In older versions of Ubuntu, the GNOME desktop was a default. After they created the new Ubuntu desktop, many people thought the GNOME desktop would fade away, but that is far from the truth, as we'll see here when we install the GNOME Ubuntu distribution. Like other distributions of Ubuntu, after booting from the installation medium, we have a choice to try it or to install it. In this case, we will choose Install after making sure we've selected the language we desire. What we see here should be no surprise, as the Ubuntu GNOME uses the Ubuntu installer utility. It checks to make sure we have enough available disk space, that we're plugged into a power source, and if we're connected to the internet, which allows for some additional options such as downloading updates while installing. We also recommend, as with the other demos we've shown, to install the third-party software so we get the necessary codecs to play the popular media types. This next panel is probably the most important because this determines how the hard disk will be partitioned. This demonstration is for a basic new install of Ubuntu. So the first choice, erase disk and install Ubuntu GNOME, is the choice we will use. However, if there's something else that you want, such as a dual boot system or other advanced partitioning techniques, please refer to the examples in the appendix of this course. Other optional choices include to encrypt the hard drive, or to use logical volume management, or something else which opens the manual partitioner. Again, in this example, we're going to select the first choice. Do not do this if you have a hard disk in there that you need to save the data on. In this next panel, we simply select our location in the world by clicking on that map of the world where we live. That will set our locale and time zone for us. Next, we select our language and keyboard type. In this example, we're selecting English and English US for the keyboard. There's also a helper. You can click the Detect Keyboard Layout button and you will work through a dialog by pressing keys upon request to figure out what kind of keyboard you have. In this final dialog panel, we have to enter our first and last name, a computer name, a username, and a password. We also have to confirm the password, and it's a good idea to use a mixture of uppercase and lowercase letters along with a number or two and a special punctuation character to make the password strong. At this point, that's all you need to do. The rest of the work is done by the installer. This is a good time to look at the presentation that will display on the screen for you as the files are copied to your system and installed. The GNOME desktop, like the Ubuntu desktop, also has a dash and a new arrangement of how to access your applications. We'll cover these features in detail in the section on the GNOME desktop in this course. Like most other versions of Ubuntu, the Firefox browser is installed by default, and using the Software Center after installation, we can add the Chromium browser if desired and the Flash plugin. GNOME Desktop comes prepared to work with your online accounts such as Facebook and Google. This makes it easy to integrate these accounts with online service and chat clients. And just like the standard Ubuntu desktop, the Ubuntu GNOME also installs the complete LibreOffice suite of Office applications. For playing your media files, the Rhythmbox music player and the GNOME video player are installed by default. If you're a photography buff, especially for the ease of managing your digital photos, the Shotwell Photo Manager is installed by default, and you can also add the GIMP image editor and Inkscape after the installation through the Software Center. And of course, the Ubuntu Software Center gets its own panel as part of the install presentation because it is important. It works so well, and it's a great place to look for software that you know has been tested and will work with your version of Ubuntu. The GNOME desktop has always been one of the leaders in supporting assistive technology for those that may need a little extra help to enjoy their Ubuntu computing experience. The GNOME community has its support page as shown in this panel, and also a wiki to help those that may need assistance in getting started. When the installation is complete, we'll be prompted as shown here to restart our computer and remove the installation medium so we can boot from the hard drive to see what our new Ubuntu GNOME desktop will look like. So now it's time to reboot the system, remove the media when prompted, and we should boot to our nice new Ubuntu GNOME desktop. When you see the login prompt, enter the credentials that we set up as part of the install process, and remember, this user that we made, the very first user, will have the sudo privileges. For now, we just want you to log in and make sure that your system works. After that, perform a shutdown, and we'll study this desktop in detail in the section of the course on desktops that's labeled for GNOME Ubuntu.